briefly about poetry, and then I will read 2 of my poems. So I am not necessarily experienced in writing poetry for an audience, because it is not as if the audience is always willing to listen, and neither do they listen for the right reasons. There is an inordinate amount of poetry out there that I consider to be highly inauthentic and only written so to give the illusion of meaning without it having such an aspect. And because of this, the term poet is being constantly abused. So in this sense, I would prefer not to be referred to as a poet at all. But to say that poetry is artistic expression, or metrical writing, or aesthetic literature, or to go even higher and say it is a priestly language, are all generalizations, and advise you never to think of poetry in such a way, or you'll become distrustful, alienated, and ultimately lost. Poetry is more the unheard of combination of words, the forbidden metaphors, the everything and anything that is strange or straight out unwanted in language. The philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein says that the limits of my language mean the limits of my world. So I invite you all to take a good look at language before anything else. I am met with the constant suspicion that there is a vagueness in language because one cannot transcend the language that one speaks. And because of this, language becomes a special type of enslavement. If the philosopher, another philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, can say that an eternally repeated dream would certainly be felt and judged to be reality, I can say that language, or our persistent language games, are judged to be our reality. We are caught in a vicious circle of linguistic conventions. We call a word a copy and sound of a nerve stimulus. We call a standard sequence of words a phrase. We call an explanation of a word as definition, and so on. And this is all good and well, but it is also quite senseless. Words themselves amount to substitutes of what cannot be accurately expressed, because we have nothing but metaphors for everything. However, what can be shown in poetry, as opposed to practical language, is poeticity. And poeticity is present when the word is felt as a word, and not a mere representation of the object being named, and it acquires a weight and value of its own instead of referring indifferently to reality. So now to start with my poetry, I will start reading on page 130. I will start with Delirium. Once I set out to scar all I had written in an enclosed capacity of 4 walls. It did not remotely fit. To mortally wound all forbidden, and choicely victim the old church hall. Its circumference vast as coffin, not fit for fetus or dismembered head, quite the catatonic loss. But I know it shall collapse with time ahead, and it happens to be a fire. Edit that, the one I had set myself merely seconds prior. But such trivialities need not writhing in turn, too much as this need to watch totality burn. While 1 to all 2 was lamenting, then merging into all 3, while for its painful succession, everything written in centipede manner, a spiraling labyrinth procession. Nothing feels more hollow than this, a schizophrenic sketch of words, erratically trailing, as lunatic's escape plan, from point X to X1 to X2 to X3, infinitely till verging on X1013, devoid of beginning and end, all merging to itself, intersecting, oversecting, undersecting as the self. I have torn my knees apart, reaching the threshold of below. Nice that, not that it matters, you parasites of prose. These walls vacuumed and corrupted are burning in sickly swoons. Letters of ink gush and fall, rendering themselves comatose as all that I've written in blooms. The entangled maze of words is a bituminous opaque mass, but such formlessness must burst, alas, its Rorschach blossoms strewn on the wall, so forming nothing of enervation pen. Black in their unveiling delirium gaze, words rioting against the flames, and I am lamenting again, as they finally assume a form. From destruction something was born. But what a trembling shame, that mere seconds before the blackened words collapse, I walk into the flames.